Hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, April 10th, 2023. Special day. Just saying. It is a special day. It's my wife's birthday. Just letting you know. So if you want to send any gifts, just go ahead. Here's a bell for my wife for her birthday. Yay! Okay. Um, yeah, as I said, Monday, April 10th, 2023. And as you saw in the picture of the little thumbnail on the YouTube thing there, I have the Bronco probably ready for paint. I've been hustling on it, taking care of minor details, and getting paper masked onto it and plastic masked onto it, and I think I've got it figured out. I think I do. Um, it looks like there's a possibility that I could be able to at least spray base tomorrow. The temperatures are going to start off kind of low in the morning, and towards the afternoon, they're supposed to get up to 70. So a low of 40, not good, but a high of 70. And then on Wednesday, which might be the day to spray clear, low of 42, but a high of 74. Thursday has 60% chance of rain. I really don't want to mess with humidity so much. So maybe, just maybe, I can get it in base tomorrow and clear coat on Wednesday. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. The plan, I know the plan is kind of maybe got a little off track from what I had thought. I was probably confused with conversations with the owner, and that's not uncommon. You know, there's a lot of stuff that gets into my head from different angles. But I know he had mentioned that there was an event, Bronco Fest or whatever, up in, it's not Nashville, it's in Knoxville, Tennessee, and he was planning to go to that. Now, I don't know if he had planned to take the Bronco there with him for that or not, but I know that is supposed to happen not this weekend, but next weekend. So my thought was, okay, based on that timeline, I have until middle of next week to get everything done. And then he sent me a message and said, hey, you're going to pick me up Friday, which meant this Friday from the airport. And I was like, oh, maybe I need to rethink this a little bit. So anyway, we had a discussion about it, and we may have to change the plans a little bit to where he can, because it's not, to me, it won't be ready Friday. No matter what I do, it's not going to be ready, because not only do I have to spray the base and the clear, I also have to do the bedliner material on the inside and refit pieces back onto it. The roll bar has to be set into it. I don't know if he's planning on, I don't know if he wanted me to put the tailgate together or not. I don't know on that one. So there's some variables still out there. But anyway, we're making progress, and it's a good thing. So excited about getting the opportunity, hopefully tomorrow, to spray base on the Bronco. Okay, so now that I've got that kind of out of the way, we're going to see who is here, and the first one in is Rick Gain. So there's a bell for Rick. Rick, we had a nice day here in New Jersey. Hopefully we have seen the end of winter. Hope everybody's doing well. Hit the thumbs up button. Yes. Yeah, anymore, you're like, oh, last week sometime we went somewhere and I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. It was great. And then Sunday it was cold, and Monday it was cold and rainy and wet. And yeah, it's really been all over the place with the weather. So, Terry Keithley, good spring Monday, everyone in Barry. Please hit the thumbs up and like button. Thank you kindly. Yes, thank you, Terry. Hope you had a good Easter. Leonard, evening all. How's everyone doing? Finally getting warmer weather here in the high desert. Glad you're here, Leonard. I know it's been a while. Jerry checking in from the Money Pit. Good evening, all. Good evening to all from Middle Tennessee. Thumbs up for Barry. Thank you, Jerry. Yes. Hindsight. 6-7 Roger checking in from next door. Glad you're here. Evan's Garage. Hi, all. Good to be back on a Monday, Cars and Coffee. Well, glad you're here, Evan. I don't know when you were here last, but you're always welcome. We always have a seat somewhere. Troy Justit, good evening and happy Monday from a warmer coastal Georgia. Yes, it is warmer, and we just got to have a couple good days. Crash Rider, good evening from Southern Indiana. Beautiful day here, but was overshadowed by a mass shooting this morning in Louisville, Kentucky. 5 killed, including the shooter, and 9 other casualties. Yeah, I saw that on the news. I don't know, something about a bank. I don't know. Um, there's a bunch of people with problems, and unfortunately, they take it out on what would probably be innocent people, and not for it. Don't understand it. To me, and I'll just say this and be very blunt: if you have a problem, and you need to if you're going to harm somebody, harm yourself. I'll just say it that way. There's no sense in going out and taking other people's lives and destroying families if it's something, just saying. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm cold. Too bad. That's my opinion. Glad you're here, Crash Rider. Don Thompson. Evening, folks, from the urgent care room. Not a good weekend. That does not sound very positive at all, Don. I hope everything is okay, but I'm glad you're here checking in anyway. So at least that's happening. But glad you're here. Rick Gain, very, very horrible to hear about another shooting. Yes, it is. Crash Rider, the Duke of Georgia, Joe Daddy is doing a bang-up job on the Bronco, so be sure to give him a like by hitting the button. Yes. Thank you, Crash Rider. Bob Shoemaker. Good evening from mid-70s, Oklahoma. Well, that's okay. Glad you're here, Bob. Don Thompson, a little envious of you guys with painting weather. Well, it's not perfect, but it's better. It's better. Peyton's World says hi. Well, hi, Peyton's World. Glad you're here. Here's a bell. Troy, happy birthday to Joe Mama. Terry Keithley from Betty and Terry, happy birthday. Thank you. Dave Tyson, good evening, all. Glad you're here, Dave. Dave Conville, that's 2 Daves in a row. Good evening. I almost missed the show. Days of Thunder just came on, and I didn't want to miss the good parts. Yeah, there are several good parts in Days of Thunder. There are. It's a fun movie to watch. It is. And we may talk about some other movies here in a minute, since you brought that up. But yeah. 67 Cuda, hello from cloudy Redondo Beach. Glad you're here, 67 Cuda. Battery Burnout, good evening, Barry and everyone. So I've been wet sanding clear coat for an entire week now. Glad to take a break and join in. Yes. Glad you're here. You can see behind me the hood for the Bronco. It still has a few things that are going to bug me, but that's just the way it is. But it is sanded, buffed, polished, all that stuff. And it looks good. I'm happy with it. I know the owner has said he's going to take this thing off-road, but I can't hardly disconnect myself from the process. If you say you want a paint job, well, okay, I'm going to paint it the best way that I know how. I don't know. I just can't do the Mako backtrack, wipe it down and just spray type of thing. I can't do that. I'm not built for that. So he's going to get a good paint job whether he likes it or not. Terry Keithley, Betty says cats drool. Yes, cats drool. Cats do drool. Yes. Falcon Keeper, hey Barry, wishing I had more time to work on my Mustang. Yep. I know how that is. That's something, here's a bell for you. There's something interesting that comes to mind. I had a phone call today from somebody local, and this guy is pretty cool. This guy owns a small repair shop. I think he does like small engine repair, but he also does a little bit of welding, and he does a little bit of this and all kinds of different things. Um, I've been in contact with him for quite a few years. He's done work for me on lawnmowers. Hey, there goes the compressor. Hope it's not too loud. Uh, he's done work for me on lawnmowers. He's, you know, we've discussed quite a few things over the years and parts and stuff. What's really cool about it is this guy has a 69 Mach 1. It is a 390 automatic car. Acapulco blue, the black and gold stripe down the side, the wheels, everything. And the car is pretty close to perfect, in my opinion. I mean, the whole thing. It's a gorgeous car. It may have been repainted at least one time. I don't know for sure. I think it probably has. But overall, the thing is fantastic. It reminds me every time I see it that that's the car basically my dad had, was the 69 Mach 1, but my dad's was a 351 4-speed. This is a 390 automatic. What's really cool about it is this guy is the original owner of the car. Not kidding. He is, I think he told me he's either 81 or 82 years old, and he's still turning wrenches at his shop, his repair shop. And he called me today, and he said, "Hey, I have some stuff I want to sell. If you know anybody that might be interested." And I was like, "Well, let me hear what you got." I wish he had parts like metal parts, body parts, but he doesn't. But he's got, from what he told me, he's got 5 FE engines. I don't know what size, but he's got 5 FE engines he wants to sell, and 2 4-speed trannies. One is a T10. Told me something about it's got the shorter tail shaft on it. He said so it won't work in a Mustang. I don't know anything about that. I guess you could probably maybe swap out the tail. I don't know. And then he has another transmission that is bolts up to an early 64 65 Mustang. It's got the 5-bolt pattern or something. Anyway, it was a great conversation we had. I told him I would ask around, see if anybody was interested in the FE blocks. I can get more information if anybody wants to know. But this guy he's taken the car apart and he's putting it back together. And at this point, he has another engine that he's going to put into it. He has the 390, but he's not putting the 390 in it. I don't know if he's putting a 428 in it. He's kind of doing it however he wants. And on one hand, I'm like, don't do that, you know. But on the other hand, it's like, it's your car. You do it how you want. But the car is pristine. And I mentioned to him before about doing a video on this car. And he's like, yeah, come on by, you know, shoot a video on it. That'd be great. So I'm looking forward to getting with him. I told him let me know when he gets his engine together and back in the car, and then maybe come back and shoot a nice video on it. So you'll be amazed. This car is just incredible. My jaw drops every time I walk in his shop and I see it sitting there. But anyway, Rick, if the Bronco's just going to be for off-road use, I don't really see the point in a nice, fancy, shiny paint job. It's only going to get scratched up anyway. Well, that's true. That's true, but I don't know how to do a like generic paint job. I don't feel good about doing a generic paint job. That's a difficulty. You know, I mean, like if I'm going to do, let's say like that little Honda Civic, and it's just going to be a commuter car, then I can go with cheaper paint, cheaper clear, and not really get so stressed over the end product. But when I'm doing something like this, which to me feels more like a restoration type of thing, I want it to be nice because, well, my name's on it. Somewhere down the line, they're going to say, hey, who did this? Who painted this? And so he's going to say, this guy did it. Don't come knocking though. I don't want to do any. I'm not excited about doing more of those. Rick says maybe the owner will change his mind once he sees how nice you make it look. He might. You never know. You never know. Evan's Garage. I have a 100% rust-free single owner 67 fastback. It's 1/25 scale. Yeah, I know how that is. Rick, 64 and a half Mustangs and very early 65s had a 5-bolt bell housing, not 6. Yes, that's what this is. He's got the 5-bolt bell housing for the early cars. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see what I come up with on that. If anybody is interested, if you are, you can send me an email or something, and I can find out more about it, about what he has to offer. A couple things I do want to show you, and we may go back to the movie thing in just a minute, but I wanted to show you. I had received an order for the Cobra Jet car, and the truck driver called me up. He said, "Hey, I'm going to bring this to your place." I said, "Okay." I said I could meet you somewhere because you're not supposed to have semi trucks come down our street, or really can't. He said, "No, I'm in a straight truck, so I can bring it." I said, "Okay." And he said, "You really need to look at these." I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, the shipment was 2 complete sides, Dynacorn sides, a Dynacorn right quarter panel, 2 doors that were, they said Dynacorn on the box. We know how that goes. Just a Dynacorn sticker, but it says Dynacorn on the box, and the doors were black. And a tail panel, and a rear valance panel, and the firewall. So the guy opens the door in a truck, and I could see right away these things have just been abused. Was able to get both doors were okay. They didn't have any damage that I could see. Tail panel, rear valance looked like they were good, and then the firewall surprisingly looked okay, but it was in the box with one of the sides, and then there was a deck lid too. So the deck lid, the right side corner where it meets the tail panel, was folded over. It got hit. Whatever it got bent. But the side pieces, I'm telling you, they went to town on these things. So, and I know somebody pointed out like the wheel houses are screwed on, and I get that. But you can look at that picture and see the buckle of the wheelhouse where the main structure is just bowed. It's bent all over the place. You can see the flange. If you look in the center of the picture, that should be a straight flange there in that opening, and it's buckled up. And then the roof mount, or the window opening, it's buckled the opposite way. This is the passenger side, same thing. It's bent, so everything was just pushed all over the place. This was the front, so that's where your speaker panel or whatever is. So that was all bent on the. I think that was the passenger side as well. Yeah, that's the driver's side, and then this is the driver's side wheelhouse. So these got rejected. I mean, there was just no way that I was going to make these work. I know some people. I posted these pictures on like Facebook, and somebody commented, "Oh, just keep it and hammer and dolly it and try to straighten it." It's like, no. That's not how it works. In fact, there's one more picture. I need to send that to myself so I can get it on there. I forgot to send that one picture. See if I still have it. Where'd it go? Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Because there was one picture that kind of defined. There it is. Okay, I'll get that one up in just a second. It's amazing. Again, the technology we have that we can take something like this from our phone and transfer it somewhat instantaneously uh, to the computer. Think about the old days where we had the dial-up stuff and it was, all the crazy sounds, and it would take forever to get something uh, onto your computer. Let me see if I can get this one. Okay. So this picture is pretty telling to me about the quality of some of this stuff. So if you look at that, that's the driver's side rocker panel, outer rocker panel, and the wheelhouse. And you can almost see where the welds just popped from them shoving this thing around in the box. And like I said, there was somebody commenting, "Oh, you can just straighten it out and use it." Well, I don't think so. Um, I don't understand what they're doing here with either the welding technique or what. But if you can just pop a weld loose like that, then it's not welded. So you need to consider when you're looking at these parts or you're buying stuff, look it over because they may be using just barely making a pinch weld. So got to be careful with that stuff. Leonard, you're not a Mako paint guy. No, I'm not. Can't do it. Robert, late but here, waiting at the train station to pick up the Queen. Okay, well, glad you're here. You pay for usable parts. Minor damage is a given, but that is only workable if it's free. Exactly right. And the thing is, if I had said, I'm going to keep this parts, then what? Did they give me any discount? Would it work? I don't know. But they took them back. Now, I did talk to the rep that I'm using from Dynacorn, and he's going to send me another deck lid anyway. So I have a damaged one. I told him I can fix that. That corner, I can straighten that out. I'm okay with that. And he's like, nope, you deserve to have one that's straight. So he's going to send me another one. And then try to get the sides. Because apparently they're in and out of being in stock. Dave Tyson, you were paying for good parts. Yes, accurate. Crash Rider seems like doing a great paint job and then taking it off-road is similar to telling someone you love them and then smacking them in the face. Okay. It's reasonable. I'll give you that. But remember too, yes, we're looking at a brand new body, new chassis or rebuilt chassis, lift kit, all those sort of things. Back in the day, when people were actually using these things, they just took them out and drove them. They used them for off-road and hunting and on the farm and all these different things. So I'm not saying we shouldn't or should not do that, but in a sense, we've kind of taken away from what they were designed to be used for as well. You picture a Bronco. Well, you shouldn't be driving back and forth to get groceries in it. It should be going off road. Now, there's some, issue, I guess, with what kind of damage it may receive in the process, and it is what it is. It is what it is. I really can't complain about him taking it off road. That's what they were made to do. So we'll see. 67 CUDA. I guess I'm lucky I can drive the Classic and pick and choose the sheet metal. That I used to be able to do that. I used to be able to do that when Mustangs Unlimited was here in the Atlanta area, and now I don't have any resource. I did have somebody tell me you could order parts through Summit Racing, which isn't far away from me, but I've bought parts from Summit before. Their choices are limited. Like what's the I can't think of the guy's name now. Drake, I don't know. They sell Scott Drake. They sell repop panels, And I did a comparison of the fender that has his name on it, another Chinese fender, and an original fender, and they weren't even close. In my opinion, the whole thing was just. I took it back. I said, I can't use this. It's no good. So you run the risk of also getting those. Um, what may be available is a decent looking fender, but it's also not a well made fender. Just saying. But for Summit, there's not. I don't think they have the Dynacorn connection either. Which I'm not saying Dynacorn's the best. They make some good stuff. I will say that I have these quarter panels over here that the owner had bought from CJ Pony Parts, and CJ was adamant, saying, "Yes, these are made by Dynacorn." Well, they're not. I have the Dynacorn full quarter panel for the right side and the back, and I could tell you it's night and day between that and the Dynacorn panel. And the Dynacorn one looks fantastic. It has the correct bends on the bottom, the shape that goes up and flattens out on the back of the quarter. The lines on the side are crisp. Um, it looks like a much, much better panel than these, which are kind of like crash panels. We used to have, when we're doing collision work, there's a company called Certifit, and we called it Sort of Fit because that's what they did. They sort of fit. You just hope for the best, got it on there and painted it. And usually it was for clapped out cars that you just somebody wanted to just fix it so they could drive it again. That's kind of how I feel about those panels. Although they do have nice thick metal, they're more like a crash panel where you would just stick it over top of your bent stuff and weld it on and then paint it and let it go to somebody else and hope for the best. So anyway, Rick, what is the percent of the body that will be original metal when you are done? Small. Small. I'm going to try to save as much as I can of the Cobra Jet, but I mean, let's just face it. There's really not much I can honestly save that is going to be original. Um, I'm going to try though. I'm going to try to see what I can salvage, but that remains to be seen until I actually start cutting stuff loose. But good question, Terry. What that happens when the balloon drops the box from 25,000 feet? Yes, you're right. Michael Pagliarini, if you pay for a new part, you shouldn't have to spend hours straightening it. Yeah, you're right. I agree. Glad you're here, Michael. 68 Orange Crate, just checking in. Just removed the radiator core support and right-hand fender apron off my 68 California Special. Can you tell us your Dynacorn rep, Barry? I can. I'd have to. I don't know how would it. I'd have to contact him because I don't know if he would want his phone number released or not, or just an email. But I could probably find out. Hold on just a second. I will text him because I can. Uh, and I'll see if he responds. So give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves. Sorry. Okay. I'm not real fast at doing that stuff, but I will definitely get you some information. Falcon Keeper Scott Drake. Yes, thank you. Glad you're here, Falcon Keeper. Rick, I still keep in touch with one of my elementary school teachers. Her first car was a '65 Mustang. She drove it to school. I know I liked her back then for a reason. Okay, that's awesome. Robert, I picked up my fenders and other parts from Classic and OKC. Good people to work with. Okay, That's a good call. Lynn, you should try NPD. Well, yeah, um, there's some trade off when you I think when you work with a Dynacorn dealer, uh, then you're not doing Dynacorn through NPD through whatever. So I don't know. I don't know how much NPD marks up the price in comparison to what the Dynacorn dealer can do, but NPD does a great job. But glad you're here, Lynn. Michael, my fingers are not working tonight. Spent hours straightening new parts. That is one of the reasons I make most of my own parts. Yes, I understand that. Evan, my Dynacorn roof was perfect within 1/16th of an inch. That was 10 years ago. Lately, I've had similar Dynacorn box parts that are obviously subpar. Yeah, well, I've got the full floor pan for this Cobra Jet, and the thing that bothers me about it is I I took the jig that I made with the 68 chassis or 68 car, and then I set the 69 car on it to verify, and everything lined up. Everything, right height, right this, everything was right on the money. And then I tuned the jig to match the Cobra Jet. So like the pinch weld flange supports, those pieces I added. I added the floor support locating jig holes, and then I set the Dynacorn pan on. It doesn't line up as well. I'll just say that. It does not line up as well as the two original cars that I use as a reference. So what do you do? How do you fix that? I don't know. I don't know if I need to fix it. But just the way I see it. So at some point, not probably not right now, but at some point I may try to make my own floor pan. I may just buy all the pieces and get my jig set where I need it and start piecing stuff like that together. I may even try to sell them. I don't know. I might. We'll see how it goes when I get some free time. Larry Bibby, hello from flyover. Late. Happy Easter. Well, happy Easter to you. Glad you're here. Uh, I was mentioning, this just came to mind. We were talking about a movie earlier. I don't know what movie was mentioned. Somebody brought it up. Um, and I don't know Days of Thunder. Dave Conville was talking about Days of Thunder. Now this isn't relatable to Days of Thunder at all. But if you're a Ryan Reynolds fan, just saying, if you like Ryan Reynolds as an actor, as a thing, there's a movie on. It's on Netflix, I think, or Disney Plus. Disney Plus, maybe somewhere else. But it's called Free Guy. And I don't know where any of you are in the timeline of life, but I know from when I was young and I played video games. Of course, we had played the Atari and Nintendo, and then we moved on to the PlayStation stuff. And of course, our kids played, and I played with my kids, and combat games and all these different types of things. But this is a kind of a fun movie to watch. It's called Free Guy, and it's essentially like the story behind one of the characters in the video game that has no life, but he has a life. Like he's just like if you had a crowd scene, he'd be a person in the crowd, and it's kind of a funny story movie to watch. Just saying, it's just turn it on and don't focus on the reality of it all. Just enjoy the movie for what it is. Actually watched it twice now because it keeps popping up on the thing. I'm like, yeah, okay, let me just see how that goes. And it's entertaining. It's entertaining. Just saying. That's all. Dave Britton checking in, and hello, Dave. Glad you were here. Speaking of, Dave reminds me of something else. We had, I had talked a lot, I guess, late last week about the potential of buying my brother's car. Everybody I think understands that my brother passed away about 3 years ago now, and I guess it was 3 years. Maybe it was 2 years. I think 2 years. 2 years is more accurate. Anyway, he had a car that I had memories with him, riding in that car, and his widow, hate to, man, widow, has decided to sell off all of his stuff. You know, pretty excited about that. Good times. So, anyway, one of the things she was selling off was his Studebaker 64 Commander. I don't know if it's actually a Daytona car or not, but it is a 64 Commander. So it was up in an auction, and I won. I did win the car. So everybody was encouraged me to get the car. I did get it. I think I got it fairly reasonable. It was basically about $1,000. Well, had buyer's fee, a little under $1,200. Thankfully, because I did not want to actually go and interact necessarily with his widow, Roger, hindsight, has a son who lives up in that area, and he was able to go get the car and pick it up for me, and it's out of that area now, away from her place. And so once the Bronco is done and out of here, probably going to make a road trip and go get the Studebaker. But just if you're curious, this is what the car looks like. Little rough, but that's not at her place. That's at Roger's son's place. And so, yeah, 64 Daytona. It's a Canadian car. They moved their production in 64 to Canada late in the year, I guess. And so it's a Canadian car. And we don't know yet for sure. I'm going to have to punch up get some information on it, check the serial number, and find out if it's a real 4-speed car or not. Dave and I have communicated a little bit about that, and he implied that they may have only made 600 600 of those with a 4-speed. I don't know for sure, but trying to figure it out. There are. I've been looking online. There's a car not too far from here that is a 4-door car that, as much as I don't want to take parts off of a decent car, I would consider taking parts off of that car to help build the 2-door and get it back up to speed. But anyway, just letting y'all know that I am the owner of the Studebaker. There's some bells. Okay, Rick, I was watching Iron Eagle last night. Main character in the movie had a red 65 Mustang convertible. He also had an F-16, but I'm kind of partial to the Mustang. Okay. Lynn, that's great news that you had gotten the car. It's the right thing. Thank you, Lynn. And Dave says, do you like rough? Well, no, but if rough is the only option, if that's all you have, that's all you have. I think, these cars, if they're done up, look pretty nice. That's actually an R2 factory supercharged car, which would, I'm not going to clone that. The thing is about my brother's car is he painted it red, or had it painted red, probably, I'm going to say 1984, 83 maybe. That car was painted probably in 83. And the problem is red is not the original color. So I'm not too excited about the red, be honest, because it's got a blue interior. And we'll see how it goes, as I eventually hopefully find time to work on this car. Hopefully. But the original color was a dark, some sort of dark blue. Um, Let me see if I can. I have some other pictures I can post of it. Just have to, again, send them to myself. But it was a dark blue. There's a picture somewhere of this car in my dad's junkyard, um, and it's in the background of the junkyard back in the sometime in the '60s. I'd have to find the picture again to get it figured out. Um, Battery burnout. Congrats on the car. Glad you got it. Good future videos. They very well could be good future videos. We'll find out. Um, you know, he's had to. I mean, there was always a battle on that car because he fought for a long time to get the title for it from off our dad, and he never. I don't think he ever actually registered it after all that time. I really don't think he did because the title's there, and it very well could still be in my dad's name. So, not that it matters. The title exists, and I will get it uh, transferred over. So, here's the car looks like on the side. Now, what's interesting about it to me is the if it was a factory like 3-speed car, like the other car I saw was a 3-speed on the column, then it would have likely had a bench seat in it. And this car has a split pair of buckets in it, and you can see the shifter is on the floor. So I'm hoping that it is actually a 4-speed car. Hoping. Now, the other pictures, I thought the last time I saw it, it had a supercharger on it because I know he had a supercharger on it. But at this point, that's what's under the hood. Obviously, going to need work, and depending how far I want to go with it. And this is that's the side shot of it there. I could see the left front fender is pretty rough at the bottom. I don't know about the rest of it. When you do a comparison from that to that, well, that's a much prettier car. That's also a hardtop, whereas the one my brother had was a sedan. So just a little bit of difference on the trim and of course the door frames and stuff. So anyway, that's where we're at with that. Evans Garage. Congrats on the car. Thanks, appreciate it. Dave says, Barry, have you done any thinking on what you will do with it, resto mod or stock? I don't know for sure. I don't know. I really don't, because the difficulty I have is I see the car kind of as it was, like when my dad had it. It would have been dark blue with a blue interior. I could see putting some mag wheels on it, but what else do you do with it? You don't really. I don't want to change out and put another engine in it, a Chevy engine or whatever. I want to keep a Studebaker drivetrain underneath it. There are some things that I'm considering though, if I can figure out how to make it happen. I've shown this car before, and I think it's still on my listing. This car was up at the junkyard, and I believe it's still there from what my dad was saying. I talked to him the other day or yesterday. Do I have it on here, or did I delete it? I might have deleted it. Oh no, there it is. So this car is that's an oddball. They only made 3 of those Studebakers of that actual car, 64. That car right there is like a hen's tooth. It's horrible shape though, but it has the R1 Studebaker engine, Avanti engine in it. Their big automatic transmission. That car has factory twin traction, and I didn't know this. I didn't realize it till my dad said it also has factory traction bars on it. They're not underneath where you would normally see traction bars. He said they are on top. So that's a rare feature on those cars to have the traction bars, I guess. This car's also factory disc brakes, power steering, power brakes, and I believe it has air conditioning. And this car has a factory AM/FM radio in it. It was a dealer special. It was ordered as a show car for the dealership. So it had all kinds of options in it. What's weird about it is it is a 4-door car, automatic, with factory bucket seats, center console, floor shift automatic. Pretty cool car. It's unfortunate that it's literally breaking into pieces. But I would like to get a hold of that car and take the components out of it, take the engine. I still probably would want to keep the 4-speed just because, but put all the other pieces of that car into my brother's car, which is what he always wanted to do, but was never allowed to do it. Yeah. So that's what I would like to do. Crash Rider, congrats on getting Stude. Thank you. Robert, Studes were always a classy looking car. Yes, I agree with that. Leonard was watching a video today, and I don't know where they were, but they showed a lot of Studebakers that looked like the car you're showing. Okay. Steve Grimes, glad you got it. Thank you, Steve. Yes. Bob Shoemaker, my dirt track racer buddy, called me over this weekend to see his inherited 70 Yanko Deuce Nova. One of 56 automatic cars, needs a lot of work, but NOS parts were included. Okay. You had me scared when you said dirt track buddy. I was thinking, what? What? Surely not. A Yanko. Wild Bill Hayberry, have you your thoughts on direct to metal primers? Are you talking about like the Eastwood stuff that they sell? I think I guess. Or are you talking about like epoxy, like spray on epoxy? I use if I go to bare metal, I spray epoxy primer. That's what I do now. Just make sure I've got epoxy down, and then come back with my high build on top of that. I don't know if that's answering your question or not, but that's where I'm at with that. Dave Convo, glad you got the car. I remember you talking about it years ago. Too bad the circumstances involved in getting it. Yes. Thank you. Dave, maybe do kind of a recreation to keep the original vibe. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. And Dave, would be great to have the AC. I've never seen a Studebaker with AC. Yeah, I have the build sheet. I'll have to send you a picture of the actual build sheet for that car. It's crazy, the options that they put on that thing. And like I said, there was only 3 of them made with those options. There was one actually. I think I have another picture of it. I don't know. I think it's the same. I think it's this car. That is what it would have looked like if it were not falling apart. And that one, I forget where that was. There was like one over in Europe somewhere, and then this one, which I think I forget where I found this image, but it was basically this same car, but obviously not falling apart. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. And again, it's going to be when I get time to do it. I'm not going to focus on it. It's not going to be my primary anything. Yeah. So it'll just be here. Doyle, How much effect will the color of primers affect the color of the top coat, red versus gray versus black? Okay, that's a good question. My understanding is it can influence the colors. Um, I know from our paint shop, our body shop. I'll see if I have a sample here. We would have a spray out card. I don't know. I don't know if this is an actual spray out card or not. But basically, we would have this card, and it would have three different the light gray, the medium, and the dark gray primer. And so, whenever we were doing certain cars, you would spray it out to see the influence that that primer had on the base color. So, like a modern car, let's say you have a J12 whatever. Well, then you have the paint code is J12 prime, and then they have J12 prime, and then they have like I forget what the coding is, what the name is, whether it's um, lighter, darker. There's some sort of number system built into it. And so what we would run into is if we had a car that was like silvers are the worst, but if you sprayed a car, uh, then you would do a spray out card with the different primers on the background and put it up against the color of the car to see which one works because it does influence it. It does change it slightly. Now, colors like a black not going to make a difference on black. Others with a heavy pigment in them may not really do much of anything. But if you've got a lighter shade of color, then yeah, it's going to influence it. Like doing this Bronco. I think I sprayed this card. I had two cards. I don't know where the other one is. I sprayed like three coats on this. So the more coats I've added, the more it hides those colors, but it will influence it. Yes. Good question, Doyle. Dominic, absolutely. I had to spray a dark blue metallic over white primer, and it took 6 coats to cover completely. Okay, so there you go. There's an answer. Dominic, thank you. Dave Britton, since primer color came up, I was wondering on your thoughts of matching the primer color close to the finish so stone chips don't stick out like a sore thumb. A friend of mine says he always does that. That's a very tough thing to try to do. Uh, you could do that, but then you run into, well, what I would say is the difficulty is you're spraying and you don't know where you're spraying anymore. I like to have a different primer than what I'm spraying because if let's say you have a blue primer and you spray a blue uh, metal flake on top of it, if you can't see where you've been, then you run the risk of not having the metal flake show up. Kind of like when I did Jade, I sprayed the green, the Gulfstream on it, and I missed the door. It looked like it was there, and all of a sudden, you could see the primer. So I'd like to have something contrasting more to make it show up. A lot of times when I'm doing a car, I don't really worry about um, the shade of the primer so much because I'm doing the whole car. Now, like we said earlier, it might take multiple coats to get it to cover, but I like if I'm doing the Bronco, I don't really care if it would be light gray or dark gray, just so I get enough coverage of the green. It's all the same. It becomes more important in some instances where you're trying to match a color. Like doing a collision car, you want to have the colors blend together. So. Jeff, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Glad you're here. Hope all is well with you and yours. Thank you. Let's see. Robert, if you're painting anything yellow, paint it black first. Probably not a bad idea. You know, when I was talking about the other primers, I did run into a struggle with the light blue Mustang that I did years ago because the color, I didn't realize how light the color was compared to the gray primer. And so I had a hard time seeing those colors or the blue cover the gray. And that made it really difficult. Doyle says some manufacturers recommend a sealer. Yes. Yeah. I've had eh, luck with using a sealer. So I get a little hesitant when I use a sealer. Uh, just makes me struggle. But if I have a problem, put sealer on and it acts weird, I feel like I have to start over, do the whole thing over again. Jerry says, "Howdy, Barry. Howdy, all. I was worried about Robert wasn't going to be here to pick me up, but it looks like he is. He is a good boy." Well, I'm glad he's there to get you. Steve, candy is sprayed over various colors depending on desired results. That is another accurate statement. I know that if I remember correctly, you would have some sort of a silver, heavy silver flake for the candy to go on top of. So it has that kind of a translucent feel to it. Larry, this is from my grandson, Austin. Hey, Joe Daddies, I think I see Iron Man over there by the spray bottle. Yes. Austin, you are correct. I don't know if there's another one in the. I think it's the only one that is visible at the moment. So, good eye, Austin. I was thinking there was this. No, that was it. Okay. Evan, have a great one, Barry, and all. Have it. Okay. Sorry. I guess he's saying have a great one, Barry, and I'll have to scoot. Cheers. Thank you, Evan. Dominic, how many Iron Mans do you have? Uh, uh, four, 4 or 5, I think. 4 or 5. I also have. I have this one over here too. Although he lost his, I dropped his rifle somewhere. I've got the Iron Patriot. Yeah, Iron Man 2. Yeah, movie. Got the Iron Patriot. So that one shows up once in a while, and then I have to show you the other one now. If you're asking, I'm gonna show you the other one. This one's probably my favorite because it's very much like the one from the first movie. So he's been hanging out on a Mustang, but very accurate portrayal of the movie Iron Man. So and there's another one somewhere over here. I don't know where the other one is. I have the Hulkbuster. He's around here too somewhere. And then I think I have another one that's kind of generic. Just kind of one that doesn't move. Just a little stiff one. But yeah, so there's 4 or 5 floating around. Dave, when counting the number of Iron Man, did you include yourself? I did not. I did not. Although I forgot there's one on the wall too. There's one on the wall. And the other one is there's actually another poster hanging in the back. And I have another poster, I just haven't put it up yet. So yeah, Dominic, yep. Yeah, it's really close. This is really accurate to the movie, the first one. Yeah. Yeah. I really like I mean, I've talked about Iron Man before. When I was a kid, I really liked the Iron Man character because he was self-made. That's what I like about it. He's not like these other guys that were bit by a spider or the sun made him strong or has some sort of mutation. This guy's self-made. That's what I like about Iron Man. He does it all himself. So At least he tries. There's a lot of neat things about those movies. If you haven't watched all those, they're pretty cool. So anyway, um, at this point, what I'm trying to focus on is getting primer or not primer base coat. Hopefully tomorrow on the Bronco. I did. I mentioned I've color sanded and buffed the hood. I also had a small area to fix on the tailgate. I think that turned out good. And there's a small, couple little tiny runs on the grill that I have to clean up and get smooth. So that's going to have to be taken care of as well. You know, it's the. I think at this point, probably what's going to stress me the most is the idea that there could be trash. You know, whenever I spray something, I don't have a pristine, spotless shop. This gets worked in all the time, and I'll take my leaf blower and I'll blow this thing out and try to get everything out of it I can. I will wet the floor down, um, and get it, as much down as I can. What I'm hoping is there's either, well, obviously I'm hoping for zero or close to zero uh, dust nibs or anything like that getting into the Bronco, because the last thing I need to do is have to color sand and buff the whole thing. I really don't want to do that, and I just don't. But I'll also, once I get all that done, I have to let it dry enough that I can backmask everything, because I need to spray the bedliner material on the inside. So that's another big step that has to take place for everything to work out. Still a lot to do. Even getting to this point is great, but there's still a lot of things that have to line up correctly for this to work out. I've showed this picture on my thumbnail, and what you don't see is, maybe you can't really notice it too much, but like the fender, I have it shifted forward about 3 inches so that I can paint the gap and get all that correct. Also, where the fenders meet the core support, there's some bolts on the side that would bolt that to the core support. I've added a bolt to that to push the fender away from the contact of that paper, just where the core support is, so I can spray inside of that section as well. Um, Inside the doors, I added some blocks of wood. Basically, I wanted to be able to reach through the window and open the door or move it, but when you're reaching around, you can't see what you're trying to get to. So I put a piece of wood on the inside of the door with another piece of wood sticking out, and so I can reach down and grab that to move the door in and out. Um, so I think that's gonna help a lot. And then I've thrown paper or put some paper down inside the main body to try to not have too much overspray inside of there, because I'm gonna have to sand all that, spray epoxy, and then spray the bed liner material on top of that. That's supposed to be the process. So I'm going to try to make all that happen. And there's still things that have to be bolted on or attached and adjusted, and different stuff. But 67 Kuda trivia: who was the character in Iron Man based on? You mean in the Iron Man movie or the comic books? Because I don't know if I've read this, so you have to give me. I don't have an answer for that. You have to give me some input. Doyle, do you use Tyvek suits? I haven't noticed. Yes, yeah, I have one sitting right here, and I have got the one with the hoodie on it now. So when I spray clear, in particular, I make sure I have that suit on. The base, I'll wear I don't worry about it too much. I may wear it this time, but I'm more worried about the Tyvek keeping overspray off of me. Okay, so oh, you're saying in the movie Who is a character in Iron Man based upon? I don't know. I don't know because I know that. I mean, my interest became in the '70s when I was reading the comic books. So I don't know. When you say that, I don't know. You just have to fill me in. You have to fill me in. Um, oh, Howard Hughes. Okay, that makes sense. It does. That makes sense. Howard Hughes was quite the genius. Quite the genius. Dominic says, "Yeah, tell me about it. Clear gets so sticky it is a pain." Yes, and you really don't want clear coat on you. You don't want. I mean, the isocyanides and all that stuff. Yeah, try to avoid it as much as you can. I know I do. Try to make sure I'm clear of that. Um, there was something else. What was I going to bring up? I don't remember what it was now. Anyway, I had a bottle break. I was doing some detail work on the tailgate, and when I do that stuff, I use the little um, small foam wheels on a sticky pad on a Velcro pad, and I usually use like McGuire's on these. And I had some swirl remover. The bottle was, honestly, the bottle was pretty old, but it was intact. There was nothing wrong with it. It was just still worked great. But I dropped that bottle, and it exploded all over the floor. That was yesterday, and that was no fun. I think I have, yeah. So yeah, there's my bottle of McGuire's swirl remover. Dominic, got an oddball for you. What is the all-time favorite tool in the shop? You mean in my shop? Well, I will say probably my favorite tool is the plasma cutter. Probably the plasma cutter. But I do love to weld. I do love to weld. So, welding, you have to have, obviously have welding machines. Speaking of, since you brought that up, the owner has of the uh, Bronco. He had his truck and trailer. If I open the door, they're sitting right outside here. Um, he had brought his truck and trailer and left them here, which is fine with me, not a big deal. But he had asked me about putting on some D rings because he didn't like where he had to run straps for his trailer. This is kind of the other thing I want to talk about. He so he ordered some D rings from Amazon or whatever, and I went ahead and welded those on. So, when you've got something like that to weld, oh, it's like butter. This Yes welder I've been using, the CT whatever it is, I don't know what the number is anymore. That you can program it. I punched that thing up to half-inch thick, 30 thousandths wire. Let's go, man! It just poured that stuff in there and was fantastic. Doyle, how do you keep gnats out of the paint? I don't see any. And bam, there's 8 stuck and swimming. Yeah, that is a problem. That is a problem. Now, I will say this. What I have tried to do, and I don't know if it actually helps or not, I was talking about this last week. I take insect repellent, okay? And I will go around the perimeter of my door. I might spray it on the wherever there's a possible gap, I will spray bug spray. I've been using the windows that are on the side of my garage here because they have screens in them. I will open those up and that's my air inlet that goes into the paint booth area. So I will spray before I open the window, spray it all over the perimeter of that before I get ready to paint, and it helps. I can say that it definitely helps. So if you give them a deterrent, you know, and you only have like one inlet and whatever, uh, take advantage of it. Robert, I dumped epoxy primer on the floor. Was not happy about it. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Then that's when you get the little sand stuff and just throw it in there and pretend like you did it on purpose, right? Dave Britton, are you liking Yes Welder the more you use it? I am, actually. Now, I will say this. The first welder they sent me, I don't even know what it was, the blue 2050, I don't even know what the number is. They've sent me like 5 or 6 machines, okay? So the first one they sent, it didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right using it. And then they sent me these other ones, much better. Much, much better than that first one. And I actually did a video where I compared that first one to the later version of that same model. And that's the one I did the aluminum welding on it. They sent me the spool gun and everything. And let me tell you, that thing, it does a great job. It really, really does. I don't use like the 2050 model, whatever it is. It has the built-in plasma cutter and the I guess TIG function and all these different things. I don't use any of that. I just use it for the MIG, and it has the button on it where you can program it to what you want. You push in the button and you dial it in to the metal thickness, the wire type, the gas type, 2-touch or 4-touch, and then there's something else. Anyway, you can set your what do they call it, drawback or whatever. It's where it starts the gas and stops the gas at a certain point. And yeah, I'm really liking them now, much more than that first one they sent me, which was, not the best in my opinion. Good question, Dave. By the way, battery burnout to build a temporary and collapsible spray booth in the garage to keep the garage clean. Just furring strips and super thin drop cloths, two intake filters, and a 2-foot box fan filtered exhaust. Yeah, that works too. I mean, the thing is, I have what I call my paint booth, which is it's meant to be used as a paint booth, but I have just the difficulty of my air inlet, or where it gets the air from, and the fact that I have 2 fans drawing out or pushing out, but the main intake is at the front of the room, let's say. And so the air has to kind of go in and go around the vehicle. So that makes it a little more difficult. But it does work. It does work. And obviously there's room for improvement, but I paint like once a year. That's pushing it for me, painting something once a year. Just not that motivated. Battery burnout worked great, sucking everything out, fumes and overspray until the filter closed, changed for every coat. Yeah. Yeah. That's where for me, I just have the windows with the screens, the regular screens in them to stop stuff from coming in. Dominic, is that Yes Welder a 120 or 240 volt? Yes, it is. It's both. It's both. In fact, Robert says most of the Yes Welder units are 100 volt to something like 260 volt. Yeah, they have a wide range, and you can tune them as well. So, like, I'm not going to pull it over here, but if you look up any of the Yes Welder videos on my channel, there is a discount code in there. If you want to order one or whatever, but everything now, like the first one I had, I think the smaller version was only 110 or 120, whatever, and the new one comes with the adapter plug. So you could just plug it in. It starts out at 220, and you plug the adapter onto it to take it to 110, which I like that feature because then you're not having to go. Picture if you were using a 110 plug and you're pushing a 220 into it, it goes the other way. You're reducing the voltage. So Robert, basically feed it AC and it'll weld. Yep. Yeah, I mean I've had good luck with it. The plasma cutter works great. I've used it multiple times. The only flaw that I have with the plasma cutter is not the cutter. It's my dedicated. Well, I don't have a dedicated outlet to use because it's 110. And so when I plug into the wall and I'm using it, I have to be. I have to like create my own lag time. In other words, it'll keep cutting as long as I got the trigger on, but I end up popping the breaker because it's drawing too much off the breaker. So I'll have to run it and I have to like almost count in my head, okay, I go for like 10 seconds and stop and let the air blow through it and cool it off, and then I can cut again. Now, if I had a actual dedicated outlet that was rated at a higher amperage, I'd probably be fine. But I just haven't done that. Just haven't. Okay, I can feel my voice is starting to get rough on me, so I'm probably going to end up having to call this one a day. Um, Unfortunately, I know that I wanted to make a video for my patrons yesterday, and it didn't work out. Of course, we had Easter and had family over, and the grandkids had the Easter egg hunt and all that stuff. So I didn't get the video out for them, but I apologize for that. But I do hope to have something on the Bronco by hopefully Friday. I know that I did shoot some time lapse of masking. I did shoot some time lapse of buffing this hood because I didn't do show all the sanding, but just a time lapse of the buffing process, and so that can be part of it. But hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get base coat on the Bronco tomorrow. I probably won't try to shoot clear until Wednesday. I'll let everything dry out nice. I know that it seems like as you get closer to evening, there's more bugs out and stuff. So I'm gonna shoot for like mid afternoon, hopefully, and make it happen. But anyway, thanks for being here. I hope you all have a good week, and I'll be back. Should be back. No. I mean next Monday, the 17th, and we'll see how that goes. So again, thanks for being here, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.